Lately, there's been a huge problem in my studio, and that is my 7-string guitar has not been getting the attention it deserves. We're about to change that. I just wrote a really cool 7-string metal instrumental for you guys, and it's going to be exclusive right here on YouTube. You're about to hear it, but hang around till after the song. We're going to have some tone talk, and I'm going to go over my exact settings, the amp, the mic placement, everything I use for what you're about to hear. Now it's time for some good old tone talk, our favorite part of the video. So I'm going to go over the amp, the settings, everything I use, even part of the recording process on how I got these tracks recorded and all that good stuff, because there's an important piece of that. So I'm going to go over that with you, but real quick, if you do not have my free practice guide, there's a video and there's some tabs you can download. It's called Metal Riffs and Licks. Make sure you download that. There's a link in the description of this video. Now, if you have that guide already and you're not in my Metal Riff Master online guitar course, definitely jump in that. A lot of folks are just having an awesome time in there, and it's helped hundreds of guitar players get better at their metal rhythm. So there's a link for that in the description of this video. What am I using? Let's start with the guitar. So this is my ESP E2 Horizon FR7 guitar, and it's got the EMG 707 pickups. I've actually got a review on this guitar. I'll put a video, I'll put the link up there for that if you guys want to check that out later. But yeah, this is quite a beast. And of course, this is the ESP that was made in the factory in Japan. So a really nice guitar. I've had it for about 3 years now. And I've kind of had like a love and not quite sure relationship with 7-string guitars, and I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm loving it right now though. So secondly, before we get into the amps and all that good stuff, I want to share another vital part of this tone, everything you just heard, and that is whenever you're recording with a 7-string guitar, or really any guitar, I think it's really cool to use a 5-string bass. So I am using my LTD D-5, and this has their ESP designed pickups here. Yeah, ESP designed pickups. These are active pickups, but this is just a really nice bass, and it really wasn't that expensive. So yeah, that's responsible for that deeper bottom end that you hear in this track. All right, let's get into the amp. So I'm using my EVH 5153. This is the EL34 tube version, and it's the 50-watt head with the matching 212 cab. Now, of course, a lot of you guys already knew that because you've seen me using this amp in my prior videos. I love this amp. Now, I'm not a spokesperson for EVH. This is not sponsored or anything like that. I just love the amp. But hey, dudes at EVH, you want to send me some cash or, you know, sign a deal? Hey, let's talk. All right, so let's dig into the amp settings here, my EQ. So you can see the EQ, I'm on the red channel. This is the fire breathing channel here. So my gain is right there, probably between 6 and 7-ish. That's really a sweet spot for this amp. And if I had the volume up, you can look over and see where the volume is. The volume is very low. This amp gets great tones at low volume, even playing metal. Most amps you could never do this with, but this amp, for this specific channel anyway, you just get some great tones at lower volumes. Now, I've got the volume at about 1.5 there. It's still pretty loud in here. I'm in a small 10x11 room, 10x11 studio here, so it's still pretty loud, but it's not super loud. However, it's loud enough to get a decent signal with the Shure SM57 mic, which is what I'm using. And we'll get to the mic placement in a second here. So let's go back to the EQ first. So my bass, normally, I just made some changes to my bass. Normally I've got my bass, you know, dialed back a little bit, but because the volume is so low here, I've actually got my bass boosted just a little, and that just gives me a little bit more bottom end, but without competing with the bass guitar and the kick and all that stuff. See, if you're playing at higher volumes, I think your EQ has to be slightly different to compensate some areas. In other words, you don't want too much bottom end if you've got it cranked, because that bottom end's really going to come through and it's going to compete with the other instruments like your bass guitar that's supposed to be handling those frequencies. You don't want those frequencies to clash. However, again, recording at lower volumes, I think the rules are slightly different. This is something I've been playing around with and noticing lately. Now mids, I actually cut my mids back to about 3 here. I've been playing with my mids still cut, right, but more around the 3.5, 4-ish mark here, but I've actually cut them out just a little bit more, and that's just my preference. I know some people like to boost their mids, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong here. It's just whatever you like when it comes to mids. Now my highs, I've got them boosted between like 6 and 7 here. That's just a typical setting for me. I pretty much use that on all amps, plugins, or whatever. Now I've got my presence here kind of straight up the middle. I have been playing with my presence cut for the longest time with this amp. That just sounded a little bit better to me. Then I had someone suggest boosting the presence. I didn't like the tone I was getting at all, so I went to up the middle. I just changed it to up the middle. I'm like, okay, you know, I think I'm liking this a little bit better than when I had it cut. It seems to sit a little bit better in the mix, and the guitars just sound a little bit better. Now let's talk about the mic and the placement. So I'm using the good old-fashioned, well-trusted Shure SM57 mic. I love this mic. I think most people do because it just sounds great with high-gain amps, or in my opinion, with really any amp. Doesn't matter if it's high-gain or not. Here's the thing. I recorded 2 rhythm tracks. So for one rhythm track, which would be the one you hear in the left side if you're listening with headphones, that was recorded with this mic placement. However, for the second rhythm track, I go back and play a second rhythm track, you guys know that, I actually moved the mic a little bit further towards the edge of the speaker there. That gives you a slightly darker tone. So the blend between those two tones, right, because I've got one track hard pan left and the other track hard pan right, the blend and the sound that you get is just amazing. I love that. It's just my personal recording tactic, and of course it's not like I made it up. A lot of guitar players use this tactic, but I like, not only do I pan the tracks, I like to have a slightly different tone in that other guitar track because it just makes the blend just, I don't know, it just makes it come to life. Now for my lead guitar track, and you notice I only had one guitar solo towards the very end. I'll explain why in a second here, but for that mic placement, I actually went with the original mic placement I had. However, I even moved it a little bit further towards the cone. And the reason for that is that really helps your lead kind of cut through the mix. Also on the lead track, I boosted the mids. I think I put the mids at like maybe 5.5, 6, something like that. Again, that's just to help that sit over those rhythm tracks there. So closer to that cone, a little bit closer to that cone, and then boost in the mids, while the rhythm tracks are further from the cone and the mids are cut. That just, again, helps that lead track just kind of shine through and cut through the mix. Real quick, pedals, not much going on here. I'm just using the MXR Smart Gate. This pedal has a lot of features. Guys, I don't like a lot of features. I can't stand having a lot of features because I'm kind of like Leonard Skinner. I'm a simple man. I just want it to work. Here, let me just move one knob and it works. So I don't know, this isn't a bad noise gate. I like it, but there's some other stuff on here that you can see going on. You can see my settings, but anyway, the noise gate works. I kind of want to get Glenn Fricker's noise gate. I'd like to try that out. I've heard good things about it. And I know that, was it Fortin makes this noise gate. I don't remember the name of it, but I wanted to try one of those, and I may do that at some point. Now, for my lead guitar track, I had a little delay. I was using my Boss DD7 digital delay pedal for that. I wasn't using plugins for the delay, which that's really what you should do, because if you record your lead track and you're using effects, but then later you don't like the effects that you use, well, it's already recorded. You're gonna have to record it over again. Whereas if you record your real amp as dry as possible with no delay, you can put delay on in the studio and you can alter that and do whatever you want to. It gives you a little bit more freedom. However, I don't know, sometimes I just like to record everything just raw and as natural as possible. So on that note though, I did use plugins, 2 plugins. I used a compressor plugin, which these are just plugins from my DAW, from PreSonus Studio One. They come with the DAW. Then I had an EQ, and the EQ is just to kind of like maybe cut some of that overbearing bottom end out of the track. Not a whole lot going on. You guys can see the screenshot here. Not a whole lot of changes made, just a little to tighten things up. Now there's only one guitar solo and it's at the very end of the song, and you may be thinking, Jason, dude, this is an instrumental metal track. Why isn't there more guitar solos? Well, here's the thing. I wanted the 7-string rhythms to shine. Like, I wanted that to be the main focus of this little song here. Now, if I release the song, if I decide to use it for something, I might put 1 or 2 more solos in there. Probably just one, like in the intro there. But I would probably put vocals behind the rhythm, so it wouldn't be like an instrumental song. But the other reason I just saved the lead for the end of the song is because too many metal instrumentals have guitar solos every millisecond of the freaking song, and it's like, oh my god, people, give the rhythm a chance to breathe. You don't have to play guitar solos through the entire song, every single song. And this is just kind of a pet peeve for me, and this is why I can't listen to a lot of instrumental metal, is because they just fill the entire song with solos, and it's almost like, you know, Stewart at Mad TV. I give this analogy all the time. Look what I can do. And it's like, look, it's great that you can shred and you can play all this cool stuff. It's awesome, but sometimes there's some really cool rhythm parts of the song, and I want those to shine. Give that a chance to breathe. So this is kind of my message to all you guitar players out there who are working on instrumentals. Just consider that. I'm not saying do that. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong or right to do or not do. Who cares what I say? But I'm just saying consider it, right? If you got some cool rhythm parts, maybe drop the solo out of that. No solo during that 15, 20, 30 seconds, you know? Give the song a chance to breathe. Give the rhythms a chance to breathe. The rhythms, that's the most important part of the song, which is why my course, Metal Riff Master, focuses on playing metal rhythms and riffs. Again, the link in the description. The rhythms need a chance to breathe. That's just my opinion. I get really irritated when the entire song is filled with nothing but solos, and it just, to me, it just gets old. So that's why for this particular song, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put one guitar solo in it, and I'm just gonna leave it for the very end. Guys, again, please don't think that I'm being like a narcissist or whatever, that, well, you have to do everything Jason says to do. No, that's not it. I'm okay being wrong, by the way. I'm wrong probably at least 10 times a day. I'm okay with that. I'm doing this for your sake. I'm saying this for your sake as you're writing music. Just consider these little things. You don't have to do them, right? You cannot do them if you want or don't want. Just consider it, because chances are you're writing some really awesome rhythms. Man, those need to be heard, and they're not going to be heard if they're just flooded in guitar solos. So I know this turned into a little rant, and I apologize, didn't mean for it to, but again, I like to pass these things along to you, and obviously I'm kind of emotional about this point. Is there something in my eye? No, I'm just kidding, guys. No, but really, these are just things to consider as you're songwriting. I'll end it with this: do what's best for the song. Okay, if shredding all the way through the song is the best for the song, okay, well, we'll do that. Your audience, though, is probably just going to be guitar players, because nobody else is really going to want to listen to that. Consider giving your rhythms a chance to breathe. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. This is a fun video, by the way. Let me know what you think of Jason's philosophy on guitar solos and rhythms breathing and all that good stuff. Leave some comments, leave me some love. Guys, give this a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the links in the description of the video, my free guide, my course. This is how I make my living, so I appreciate your support. I really do. Guys, until the next video, as always, keep it metal.